You are driving home on a quiet Tuesday night. The streets are empty, the radio is low, and your mind is already on what is in the fridge for dinner. Suddenly, the darkness is pierced by the rhythmic flicker of red and blue. Your heart drops into your stomach. You check your speedometer. You are only doing 5 over. You check your mirrors. All lights are working. You pull over, hands shaking slightly, and reach for your license and registration. In this moment, you feel like a good citizen. You plan to be respectful, smile, and answer every question truthfully to show the officer you have nothing to hide. But here is the cold, hard reality. Every single day, thousands of law-abiding drivers make a catastrophic mistake in the first 60 seconds of a traffic stop. They do not fail because they are resisting. They fail because they are too helpful. I have spent years analyzing traffic stop recordings, dissecting Supreme Court rulings, and studying the tactics of proactive policing. What I found is that the routine conversation you think you are having is actually a highly orchestrated legal trap. This guide will break down why the friendly officer is your greatest legal threat and provide you with the exact scripts to protect your constitutional rights without escalating the situation. The psychology of the friendly trap. Most people expect a police officer to be stern or aggressive. When an officer approaches your window with a smile and a "How's your night going, buddy?" your brain naturally relaxes. This is a deliberate tactic called building rapport. The goal is to lower your psychological guard. When you are in a friendly conversation, you are far more likely to volunteer information that you are not legally required to provide. The officer is not your friend. They are a government agent conducting a criminal investigation. Every casual question is a data point being used to determine if they have enough evidence to search your car, breathalyze you, or place you under arrest. The 5 routine traps. Trap number 1. Do you know why I pulled you over? This is the most iconic opening line in law enforcement, and it is a pure confession trap. Under the law, an officer must have reasonable suspicion that a crime or traffic violation has occurred to justify the stop. By asking you this, they're inviting you to provide the justification for them. If you say, "I guess I was speeding a little," or "I know my registration is expired," you have just made a self-incriminating statement. In court, your attorney cannot argue that the stop was unlawful because you have already admitted to the violation on body camera footage. You have essentially pleaded guilty before you even saw a judge. The correct move: never guess. You are not a mind reader, and it is not your job to do the officer's paperwork. The script. "I'm not sure, officer. Why did you pull me over?" Keep your tone neutral. By asking this, you force the officer to articulate their legal reason for the stop on the record. Trap number 2. Where are you coming from and where are you headed? This feels like small talk, but it is actually the itinerary trap. Officers use your answers to build a profile. If you mention you are coming from a high crime area, a term that is legally vague and can apply to almost any neighborhood, that becomes a building block for reasonable suspicion. Furthermore, they are looking for inconsistencies. If you are nervous and your passenger gives a slightly different answer about where you were, the officer will label your behavior as deceptive demeanor. This allows them to prolong the stop and call for a K-9 unit. The correct move: your personal business is legally your own. The script. "Officer, I prefer to keep my private travels private. I'm sure you understand." The alternative: "I'd prefer not to discuss my personal itinerary. Am I free to leave?" Trap number 3. You don't have anything illegal in the car, do you? Mind if I take a look? This is the consent trap. And it is the most dangerous one on this list. The officer might frame it as a way to clear things up or get you on your way faster. They might even use guilt. "If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't mind if I look." The Fourth Amendment protects you against unreasonable searches and seizures. Usually, to search your car without a warrant, an officer needs probable cause, visible or smelling evidence of a crime. When you say, "Sure, go ahead," you are waiving your constitutional protection. Once you give consent, they can search every bag, glove box, and crevice. The correct move. Nothing to hide is a logical fallacy. Even if your car is empty, you must protect your privacy. The script. I do not consent to any searches of my vehicle. I am asserting my Fourth Amendment rights. Trap number 4. Have you had anything to drink tonight? Subscribe for more law advices. This is the admission trap. They aren't looking for a yes or no. They are looking for an admission of any amount. If you say, "just one beer with dinner," you have handed the officer the probable cause they need to force you into a field sobriety test. FST. FSTs are subjective and designed for people to fail. If you admit to drinking just one, the officer will claim they smelled alcohol and that you admitted to consumption. Combined with glassy eyes, which could be from a long day at work, you are now in handcuffs. The correct move. Use your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent to avoid self-incrimination. The script. I am invoking my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, and I will not be answering any questions. Trap number 5. How long have you lived around here? Is there anything in the vehicle I should know about? This is a fishing expedition. It is a broad, catch-all question intended to make you nervous. They are watching your body language. Do you glance at the center console? Do your hands start to shake? If you start listing items, like a pocket knife, they will use it as a safety justification to pat down the interior of your car. The script. I am not going to answer questions about the contents of my vehicle. Am I being detained or am I free to go? The legal context. Detained versus free to go. A traffic stop is legally a seizure under the Fourth Amendment. However, in the case of Rodriguez versus United States, the Supreme Court ruled that an officer cannot prolong a stop longer than it takes to address the initial mission. For example, writing a ticket for a taillight. The moment of truth happens when the officer hands back your license. Often they will linger and say, "Before you go, can I ask you one more thing?" This is an attempt to turn a legal stop into a voluntary conversation. If you stay and talk, you have waived your rights. The power move. Officer, am I free to go or am I being detained? The follow-up, if they say you are being detained, say, I am invoking my right to remain silent and I want to speak with my lawyer. Then stop talking. Practical conduct. How to act. Your behavior is just as important as your words. If you act like a sovereign citizen or shout about your rights, you increase the chance of a physical confrontation. Hand placement. Keep your hands on the steering wheel until told otherwise. Lighting. If it's dark, turn on your interior dome light so the officer can see inside. This reduces their safety anxiety. Windows. Roll your window down just enough to pass documents. Do not roll it all the way down, as this makes it easier for them to claim they smelled something. Summary. The law is not a shield that sits in your trunk. It is a tool you must actively use. Officers are trained to make you feel like asserting your rights is suspicious or rude. It is neither. It is your right as a person on U.S. soil. The 4 phrases to memorize. I'm not sure, officer. Why did you pull me over? I do not consent to any searches. I am invoking my Fifth Amendment, right to remain silent. Am I free to go? Practice these phrases until they are automatic. When the lights flash and the adrenaline hits, you won't have time to think. You will only have time to react. What do you think? Have you ever been asked a casual question that turned into a longer investigation? Comment below with your experience. And if you want to learn more about the specific psychological tactics used in these encounters, watch my next video. 4 friendly questions cops use to trap you. Subscribe for more law advices and to keep these video posting. Also, if you don't like that video, you can dislike it. This content is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Laws vary by state. For specific guidance, consult with a qualified criminal defense attorney.